WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Live from WFLA Studios, top stories, breaking news, interactive coverage in the palm of your hand. This is Stream Center Live. Here's JV Biunno.
Sworn depositions unearthing massive new info in the Gabby Petito story. Brian's frantic phone calls home, his mother facing possible arrest, and Brian's mysterious trip home in Gabby Petito's final days. As the scheduled trial date draws closer, we are live to break down what we have learned over the last week or so and what exactly remains unclear. Hello there to you folks. Welcome back into the Stream Center. JB here with you live alongside WFLA senior investigator Walt Buteau. And Walt, I think you might have dropped the phone there. Did you drop your phone?
No, the water bottle.
Oh, the water bottle. The water bottle fell over. I heard something fall
Thanks
over.
For noticing.
So I'm just making sure that you're good, man. Just
you could have let it go.
Walt is one of my favorite people to stream with because, of course, we always have great conversations. It's good to have you back.
It's fun. Well, I say fun, but it's interesting. It's an interesting, as I've said before, it's just a great newish form of media.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And we're going to go in depth. So
we're going to pick Walt's brain. We're going to pick your brain interactively here on the stream, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But first, I want to start off with why this is such a pivotal day in the Gabby Petito story. Everything over the last couple of years has built up towards a possible trial, not in criminal court, in civil court. Of course, Gabby Petito's family, the Petito and Schmidt families, have filed a lawsuit against the Laundrie family, as well as attorney Stephen Bertolino. And everything is progressing towards trial occurring as scheduled in May of 2024, and just 3 months from now. We're getting really close. And that's why we have a lot of documents to talk about today, except for the fact that this morning at 10 o'clock a.m., the families and their attorneys have come together with a mediator by the name of, I believe, W. Andrew Clayton, a Florida mediator, to potentially try and reach a deal to avoid trial. Now, there's a lot of different ways that trial could be avoided. However, the one that is staring both families in the face right now is the potential to reach a settlement out of court through mediation. So that's exactly what is happening at this very moment at an undisclosed location here in Florida. I've already received word that there are members of the media that are trying to find out where the location of the mediation conference is because they're trying to figure out whether or not a deal can be struck between these two families. Before we get into the documents, Walt, what do you make of these families trying to potentially come together in mediation and avoid a jury trial?
Well, I mean, it happens a lot, I think, and sometimes the judge orders it, and because the judge has better insight than we do, so I think it's very possible. As I've noticed in my career, fewer and fewer cases, civil or otherwise, go to trial. And mediation is a tool that is used to, look, it saves time. It can save money for the court system.
Yep.
It's not as public, obviously, as a trial would be, because we're not going to hear, if there's an agreement, we're not going to hear what the agreement is necessarily unless it's leaked, and we're not going to hear some of the details that were discussed in that mediation. In open court, there would be questions and answers, and we would hear more details. So not as exciting, if you will, for the public in a case that's been out there in a way that I don't think I've ever seen any case be out there. This case will be studied for a long time with how it started, how it sort of grabbed attention of everybody out there. It's been so public. For it to end with mediation would be an interesting twist, if you will.
Yeah, for the families to see eye to eye, so to speak, on a financial settlement. That,
Right.
and look, I'll be very clear with what I'm about to say. I've had a lot of conversations with both Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt in recent months and really the last several years, really since this story became, of course, the massive story that it became in September of 2021. And there's a couple of different ways to look at this. Joe has always indicated to me that there isn't a dollar amount that you could really put on this case. They want to know the truth. They want to know what happened. They want, of course, as you would put it, or as perhaps they would put it, the Laundries to face the music, so to speak. The Laundries to have to answer for what transpired in August and September of 2021 with Brian and what they knew or what they didn't know as that all was unfolding. So, in fact, in the depositions, I'm going to read this directly from the depositions because I don't want to put words in Joe's mouth if I don't have to. And Joe said, it's in my report, and by the way, you can find my report. It breaks down all the depositions. It's on WFLA.com. You can also find it in the short link on this video, in the pinned comment below. But here it is. Okay. Joe Petito said that there is no amount that we will settle for. This was, again, in depositions with his attorney present as he was being asked under oath questions about this case. And he said, I don't want, this is a quote now, I don't give a beep about a dime. I don't care. I work. I do well. It's not about the money. I want to make them hurt as much as they hurt us. As I told Pat, there's no amount of money that I would settle for, not a dime. That's the quote from Joe Petito. Now, at the same time, in my conversations with Joe, I would say, Joe, like, if this did come down to finances, what would you do with the money? And he goes, oh, it would all go to the foundation, the Gabby Petito Foundation. It would all go to that. And as I've had conversations with Joe, Walt, one thing that he has made clear to me is that he just wants the truth to come out. Well, guess what? Where I have it here. We have I guess we could call this document cam today, okay? It's all right here. All of the depositions, these are sworn depositions given by Roberta Laundrie, Chris Laundrie, and Stephen Bertolino, answering questions by Riley. Now, not in the public forum of a trial, but answering questions point blank from the Petitos and the Schmidts through their attorney. And you could make the argument, this is them getting answers.
But when you do a deposition, it's not the end of the story. And it's sort of like if you do an interview as a journalist, you do the interview, and sometimes you think, wow, I got this, and they said this great. You come back, you listen to the interview, and you go, oh, wait a minute. I need a little more on that. I need a little more on that. And it has to be the same way with a deposition. As I read your stories, great work, by the way, I want to know, well, wait a minute, that could... there are follow-up questions. And so the deposition, the way I would see it, is used as a tool. Yeah, sure, it's a lot of the story. It's more than we know.
Yep.
Right? But now, if this goes to court, I have gone over this deposition. My clerks have gone over this deposition. We've gone over it. We've checked it with other statements. Wait a minute. Is that the truth? Is that not the truth? How can I, if I have him on the stand, maybe I get more of the truth. We have more truth now than we did when this started, but do we have the entire truth? I don't know if we do. So yeah, if he wants the whole story, if he wants his pound of flesh, the public seems to want their pound of flesh. It seems like with that in mind, why would you settle in mediation? Because we're not going to find out what that decision is. We're going to get very limited results if this is settled in mediation. If what Mr. Schmidt said is true, and you're him, don't you go to trial?
Mr. Petito, yeah.
Yeah, don't you go to trial?
Yeah, I mean, if you are okay, this all began, and I'm speaking now to our live audience, right? This all began with people wanting justice for Gabby. Justice for Gabby became immensely more complicated when Brian Laundrie was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the Carlton Reserve. It just became that how justice takes shape from that point forward is in murky water. For the Petito and Schmidt family, it's finding out what the Laundries were told and whether or not they helped or aided Brian in eluding justice in any way, shape, or form, right? So that's what gaining justice looks like. And going down that path inevitably would lead to a trial. But there's sort of the red light before trial, any civil trial really, is going to be a mediation conference. It's going to be the attempts to get both sides in a room, and before, as you noted, wasting so much money to actually, sit in front of a judge, all the juror members having to take time out of their lives, everything that has to go on to make a jury trial actually happen in civil court. Can these two sides, especially post-depositions, now that we really have an idea as to what the arguments for and against are going to look like, can they reach a deal out of court? There's also the possibility for summary judgment. Motions have been filed, and whether or not there's a summary judgment possibility in this case, or if the Judge Danielle Brewer determines that, yes, no, we have to get this in front of a jury to determine as to whether or not the Laundries and Bertolino are guilty of intentional infliction of emotional distress. So I'm looking here at the bat phone, if you will, keeping an eye on text messages because we're staying very close to the mediation situation right now and whether or not a deal can be struck or not. We're going to, of course, and we'll come back to the potential for mediation later on in the live stream. We have a bit of a special debut here today. Something that we've been working on behind the scenes really I've been working on it for a long time. And it is the ability for us to take interaction with our audience to the next level. Walt doesn't even know about this. It's so top secret.
You told me a little bit about it.
Top secret.
It's a good tease.
Not even my stream partner here knows what we are unveiling. But it lives on your phone and really in the palm of your hand by going to www.heyjb.live. This is going to take you to what is called the control panel. It is never before done in the history of interactive news. It is a control panel in the palm of your hand that gives you the ability to influence the content that you see on screen. Even going as far as getting your name on screen. You see the scrolling ticker on the bottom. It says Stream Team. These are people that have been engaging with us through www.heyjb.live. And we are going to be able to take interactive journalism to the next level on this live stream and future live streams by bringing in our audience no matter where you are on what platform and allowing you to answer questions as we bring them up here on the live stream, which is really cool. Also as well, HeyJB has grown far. It was hashtag HeyJB was never supposed to be a thing. That was just kind of a means for us to get comments from people, and it was never supposed to be a thing, but it became a thing. And but you know how many times that I've gotten emails from people, Walt, after a live stream is done, and they'll say, I put in my comment 40 times, and I never got on screen. I tried so hard. I tried on Twitter. I tried on Facebook. I tried on YouTube. I tried everywhere, and my question never made it, and people would be really frustrated. Guess what? We have a magical solution for you today, and it is through www.heyjb.live. Now you have a direct connection to the Stream Center to be able to get your comment basically at the front of the line. Think Disney World Fast Pass.
Right.
Okay? So instead of getting muddled up in all the Hey JB or Hey Walt questions and comments, you now have the ability to basically become a streamed VIP, jump to the front of the line, and your comment will stick on my screen until I grab it. Hopefully that makes sense to people. But again, it's all through the interaction on www.heyjb.live. That takes you to the control panel where you can interact with our stream. And so I'm going to be keeping an eye on some of the comments, and I haven't had any VIP comments come in just yet, but I'm looking forward to debuting that. So if you really want your voice to be heard, guess what? You now have, we can't do, other live streamers, Walt, they do super chats, which is where, I don't know if you're familiar with that. You know what super chat? So super chat is when people pay and make a donation to the streamer. We can't do that in the news industry. That's just, it doesn't fall within the scope of what we do.
Yeah, that's like paying for interviews. Every so often we'll get somebody who agrees to do an interview for a particular story and they say, can I get paid? And I don't do that. I've never done that and I won't, but there are entities that will do that.
Yeah,
network entities, but it's a double-edged sword to do that. You get the interview, but you're buying it.
Yeah.
So the motivation of the person giving you the information, by the way, whoever they would be the answer to a trivia question. The person who can get on here first.
Right. Oh, the first person with a VIP comment. And look at that. I think I've got a few coming in. Look at that. And here's the first VIP comment. Great. It's from David. Glad to see we got the dream team of Walt and JB.
Cousin David. It's got to be my cousin.
Your cousin?
It's got to be my cousin.
Yeah, you think so?
That's awesome.
And now they're all starting to really flow in, and I'll try to get to questions that are coming in. In fact, let's get to this one. If mediation is not successful, when can we expect to see the trial start? May 13th is when proceedings would begin, and Sarasota County Circuit Court.
You got to be loosely with would, because obviously trials get delayed so often that would be the first possible date. But again, there could still be delays. Anything could delay it.
More VIP comments coming in. Andrew says, I'm originally from Port Jefferson, New York. I have watched this case closely as it hits close to home. I echo what JB said. Just because mediation is happening, it doesn't mean that it is the end all. It's a process. One or both sides can disagree with the decision in mediation. That's absolutely true. And this is the best part of what we do when we get great, intelligent, thoughtful comments from our audience.
That's someone who understands mediation.
Yes.
They both sides have to agree.
Yep.
The mediators are highly trained individuals. We see this
it's what they do. It's their job.
That's right.
That is all they do.
Always
is
thought
mediate.
that would be a very interesting job.
Yep.
Kind of like a judge and a jury in a way, and a guide. It's like you're guiding them. And it happens. I think we see it most in the public sector with union disputes. School, at least personally, school union disputes.
So it's not like
because they want to get the kids back in school.
Sure.
Mediator shows up. Every state usually has a rock star mediator. Oh, that's so and so. And yeah, he's right. There's definitely, it's not as easy as it seems, and especially with this case.
Tanja says testing. Yeah, no, this works. The VIP comments work. Victoria, this is awesome, JB. It brings all platforms together rather than you stressing about looking at all the platforms, giving each equal time, etc. Thank you for giving Gabby so much time and caring. And yeah, so
can I ask you something about this particular tool?
Yes.
Are you still able to control it going on so that are you still able?
Oh yeah, no. I still no. If
so
somebody
what
said,
is the difference then?
What is the difference?
Than what it was before?
Because it's one unified, as Victoria is noting, it's one unified place for people to be able to comment.
So no matter what platform they're on,
right.
it's because before you'd go, let's look at Facebook, let's look at this. Now, no matter where I'm commenting.
That's right.
Okay.
And it also, because it is through our website and not through relying on a social media platform like Facebook or YouTube, it's powered through WFLA.com.
Gotcha.
So we have more control over the comments and also to the ability to queue them as well. We're going to get one more, and then we got to move on to these documents, guys, because these documents, and there's a lot more to come with HAB.live and the control panel. Rman74, congratulations on this new endeavor. Thank you. Remember when Chris met with the FBI at the reserve and came out smiling? Has speculation been made regarding him making a deal with the FBI to avoid being charged once Brian was found? Stay tuned on this, because this actually, we're probably going to, this is a good segue to the next component of our live stream.
It also shows, though, how close people watch video in cases like this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. He could have been smiling because he was smiling. It hadn't, and I mean, it's a good question, but an FBI agent doesn't have the power to make a deal in the woods during a search necessarily.
Yeah, no.
But to pay that close of attention and try to interpret that is very interesting, and especially with a case like this.
I really want to get to this next question because it now is going to be featured on www.ajb.live. And now is the big grand reveal of where we are taking interactive journalism, where we are taking interactive live streaming. And we can now ask our audience, regardless of platform. This was such a headache in the past with Facebook and YouTube. But this is a big special debut for us today, and we really hope that people like it. People now, as we have conversations about the stories that we cover, we can ask questions and give people the ability to interact with our stream content right in the palm of their hand. So we are asking on the control panel, again, by going to www.heyjb.live, we're asking now this question, and there's no sign up, there's no tracking, there's no email or anything like that. Everything here is voluntary. This is you being a volunteer participant in interactive journalism. So I don't want anyone to think that there's some gotcha moment. I will stake my reputation on it. But we're asking now on the control panel, what is the most significant revelation in the Petito Laundrie depositions? And again, I go back to, we're dubbing this today document cam, okay? Right here. So I have spent the last week plus reading through every word of every page of these documents to the point where, Walt, I couldn't even go live last week because I was so brain fried over reading all of this. Plus, I had 2 other assignments from my bosses here at WFLA that I could not say no to. So I'm way more refreshed. The baby has me getting a little more sleep this week too, which is totally.
You were a law clerk. You understand what it is to be a law clerk.
Yeah,
in that moment.
That it was a lot of reading.
Yeah,
and it does it can melt your brain when you just read so much of it so fast.
Yeah,
but I've combed through it, and based on what we have learned in my 3 reports on WFLA.com, we're putting now this question to our audience. What is the most significant revelation in the Petito Laundrie depositions? And we are going to give our audience an opportunity here to vote. And we're not going to reveal the results of this until we get to a certain vote count. And we're going to wait for a formula here to tell me exactly how many votes we're going to try to get to. And then we're going to reveal the results of this poll. Again, it is a one-tap, one-click poll by going to www.heyjb.live. This is brand new, never been done before. We really hope that it works for you wherever you are watching from today. So I asked this question to you. We talked about this pre-stream, and I said, Walt, I want you to be ready after reading through this, and I want you to tell me what we have learned over the last couple of weeks. What is the most significant revelation in these documents to you?
I would say it's, I don't know if you put these in any particular order, but
I didn't.
To me, they're kind of in order, in my view.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, look, Gabby's gone is by, I think, number 1, and 1A is Roberto's possible arrest. And I'll tell you, Gabby's gone is interesting to me because, and I thought of this as I read through your stories. If you had a friend who is involved in something like this, although there's nothing like this, and if you had a child involved in something like this, wouldn't your next question be, what do you mean Gabby's gone? Right. What do you mean by that? And so that's would be a reason why I was talking about depositions. Well, did Mr. Riley ask that? He sort of did.
No, he did. Yeah.
He did, but I think, what would a jury, how's a jury going to respond to that response? And then Roberta's possible arrest is unique to me because we don't get a lot of inside baseball sort of looks at how the FBI operates. And obviously this is a statement by Mr. Bertolino, but for Mr. Bertolino to under oath say the FBI basically was, it was a threat, right?
That's basically how it read to me on paper.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
You don't, right.
It's like right out of a movie. We don't think the FBI operates that way, but we suspect they do.
Let's come back. Let's come back to the possible arrest for Roberta Laundrie in just a moment, because there's a lot to unpack there. I want to read to your point. Gabby's gone, and what does that mean?
Right.
I'm going to read everybody a part of the deposition, going now to page 56 of Roberta Laundrie's deposition, being questioned under oath by Petito attorney Pat Riley. And he says on line 25, page 56, okay, so if Gabby's gone, please call a lawyer. Doesn't say to you that she's dead? Response from Roberta. I didn't know what to think. I don't remember if that crossed my mind or if I was just so nervous. I just thought that he was in some kind of trouble. I didn't know. Riley asked a question. What other possible explanation could there be for she's gone? Please call a lawyer. Response from Roberta. A lot of things ran through my head. Possibly they got in a fight and, maybe she's going to press charges against him or something? ? I didn't know. Question later on, 2 lines down from Pat. Did you ask? Answer. Well, I didn't call Brian after that. I don't know if we talked again that day. This goes on and on and on. But in essence, Chris and Roberta Laundrie are sticking to the story that they did not know what Gabby's gone meant. Bertolino, their attorney, the Laundrie's attorney, made it very clear that he brought forth the possibility that it could be that Gabby is gone, as in deceased. The Laundries say they didn't know what Gabby's gone.
He said it was something it thought after the conversation of how frantic he was, and it was something I thought we had to consider. That's Chris saying that. But interesting. Hindsight's great. Like, we know what Gabby's gone means now. So, and I don't want to be the apologist for the Laundries here, but if it's your child, and you know this now because you have a child, are you going to go? Now they know more about Brian than any of us.
Absolutely.
More than likely.
Yep.
Do they know things we don't know yet about that relationship? Do they know about Brian's personality, violence or otherwise, that we don't know about?
In the depositions earlier on, they talk about whether or not there was any red flags in essence.
Right.
That's my word, by the way. I'm summarizing by saying red flags.
Do you go right away to, oh, she's dead? The rest of us can think that now because she is dead, and we know that. But her explanation makes some sense, because gone could be the relationship's over. Now, obviously, as we go forward, and it seems like Brian, there's more phone calls, and Brian is more frantic. Are you more suspicious? But can you honestly think to yourself that you're going to go there, that your child could have committed the crime of murder?
Page 76 in Roberta Laundrie's deposition, she talks about Gabby being known to disappear. Question. So what periods of time would she disappear for? Answer. Sometimes she'd go out at night, and we didn't know where she was until 4 a.m, but she's not our daughter. I'm not going to tell, it's kind of small here, I'm not going to tell her she can't go out at night. And sometimes she would. For instance, we were going to have a holiday, and she knew I shopped and cooked and the recipe she liked and planned a recipe, and then she just wasn't there. And I thought, oh, she's not going to be here for Easter. And it turned out she had gone back to New York. So the Laundrie's pointing to Gabby's, tendency to disappear, and that the Gabby's gone quote or Gabby is gone quote doesn't necessarily mean. But again, now fast forward to Bertolino. Bertolino wasn't great quote, by the way. Shout out to Emily D. Baker, our friend here from the Stream Center. I watched her live stream, and Emily said, it's not like the Laundries called the National Guard to find Gabby. Bertolino called criminal attorneys in Wyoming. Bertolino says that he advised his clients, brought forth the possibility that Gabby was deceased, even though the Laundries are saying, we didn't know what Gabby's gone meant. So this is really, if this goes to trial in May, massive conversation will be had. there will be tremendous amounts of testimony on the stand.
Oh, absolutely.
About Gabby's gone.
And
what
I
that
think,
means.
look, it also, here's the other thing we don't know. We don't know the relationship. Look, if my son, who, the oldest, if any of my children, at some point get into a point where their significant other, they say they're gone, I'm going to say, what do you mean by they're gone? And I'm going to hammer that home. What do you mean by they're gone? Like, how does it does boggle my mind a little bit that question wasn't asked, but we don't know the parent-child relationships are different. But me and my brothers, I would say, I think I know how we would respond to that. What do you mean by gone?
Right.
Because gone's different. He didn't say she ran away. She's gone. Okay. He's sad. She's gone. He reflected on that in his suicide note, that he was sad. Believe it or not, whatever you want to believe. But I just think there had to be, either they didn't have the type of relationship where you don't follow up to that. She's gone. But again, we are operating with hindsight, and they didn't have hindsight. But still, yeah, you're right. That point is going to, if this goes to trial, is going to take up a lot of time in trial, to the point of there will be objections, I'm sure, by about haven't we covered
privilege.
This, or haven't we covered? No, more like, Your Honor, we've covered. I object.
Right.
She asked and answered, whatever that would be. But
Sure.
but yeah, that's I don't see how anybody, if that's not by far number one on your poll, I'll be surprised.
All right. Well, let's see. We're trying to get to 300 votes on our poll. Okay, that's the number that we're trying to get to. So again, you can vote. There's no tie-in to this other than you just go to the website, heyjb.live, or follow the YouTube moderators or Facebook moderators. We don't have Facebook moderators. YouTube moderators, follow their guidance, okay? And you can vote.
One more quick point, though, about the last comment by who pointed out he wanted to hire a criminal attorney.
Yeah.
What other attorney are you hiring there, though?
Well,
there's no lawsuit. There's no civil case. Of course it's a criminal attorney.
Right.
I'm not going to say it's redundant to say that, but it is kind of, there's no lawsuit. We don't know, at that point, we don't know that Gabby is dead. We know it now, but it's the 29th or so of August. We think she died or was murdered on the 27th or 28th. What other, I'm going to hire a civil attorney. No, you're not. It's a criminal attorney. I get that. But it's obviously, on the 29th, we know on the 29th about the confrontation in Moab, correct?
Yes.
We know about that they hit each other, correct?
Well, right.
Or do we?
There was a domestic incident.
That's
Let's just, without going too far into that whole thing.
That's criminal. Now, it's because she took it was her van, right?
It was in her name.
So. I'm trying to think of how it could ever be civil at that point. Like, why would you need a civil attorney? Oh, she took my stuff. I need my stuff back. And it's not over a certain dollar amount. Well, that's civil. Right? So obviously it's going to be a criminal attorney. Not that that's not a good point.
Let me put it this way. We're gonna go into pretend time.
Whoa.
That's my sound effect for pretend time. We're gonna pretend. Okay? Because journalism, you don't really do a lot of hypotheticals all that much.
We don't do it on TV. We don't do it on TV, but we do it behind the scenes, and then we try to see if any hypothetical can be supported. But it's difficult.
I liked your reaction. Someone will have to make a GIF out of that, like your reaction in your earpiece to the chimes for pretend time.
I thought I was about to see the result of the poll. Is what I thought.
Oh, no, not yet. We'll get to that. We're trying to get more votes. Yeah. Again, heyjb.live. We want to get, there's more polls. So we want to get more poll questions on screen, and we have to get more votes to be able to do that. Again, go to www.heyjb.live. I don't want to have to repeat myself as much as I will have to, but we're trying to get to a certain number of votes in this poll. Here's the pretend time. Brian calls his parents and says, Gabby's gone. They respond, okay, what do you mean? And let's say that Brian just says something to the effect of, she's gone. I don't know where she is, or something like that.
There you go.
Instead of calling your attorney, wouldn't there be like this automatic response for a parent to say, "Oh my goodness,
Call the police.
someone's missing," or
That's
call
right.
the police.
That's a great point.
Or call her parents.
Call her parents right away.
Like,
hey, Gabby's gone. Hey, Gabby's gone.
Your future daughter-in-law is gone.
That's right. And this is where, by the way, this is the crux of the lawsuit, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely.
You know that he said she's gone. And you didn't tell me. I'd be extreme beyond angry as the parent of the missing person.
We have a poll question about Gabby's gone specifically coming up later on in the live stream, but we got to get things moving. I found out right before the show, or an hour or two before the show, that I'm going to be on News Nation at 2:20. So I got to get. So we have a lot to get to on this live stream, and I want to make sure that I get as many of these poll questions on stream as possible. Again, where I'm seeing the votes trickle in, we need to get more votes to be able to activate the results on screen. Okay, Roberta's possible arrest. Okay, lot to unpack here, and we are going to try to do our best job at presenting the Cliff Notes. In essence, there was the time in the days after Gabby Petito's remains were found. Stephen Bertolino, the lawyer for Chris and Roberta Laundrie and Brian Laundrie, representing the Laundries, called a press conference with the intent of, feeding the appetite of the public, of the media, the public that was literally on their front lawn at the time. Remember now, in September 2021, you have a mob of people on that street in Northport, Florida, okay, with signs demanding that the Laundries speak and give information on where Brian was. Bertolino wants to do and talks with his clients. They plan a press conference. Now, according to Bertolino's sworn depositions, he says that the FBI agent in New York, in essence, told him, you don't want to do that. And I'm summarizing here, but it's all in the report on WFLA.com, the exact quotes.
I have it
in fact,
if you want me to read it.
Yeah, would you please?
Okay, so Mr. Bertolino says that I got a call from the FBI and they indicated to me, and I won't say no uncertain terms, but they indicated to me in terms that were clear that I should not have the press conference. I had my suspicions as to why, and they indicated that if I went forward with the press conference, that they were going to arrest Roberta and put her through the full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else. Look, I read that. When I read it the first time.
I want your unadulterated response to that.
I respect the FBI, but I just think that's a lot of bluster.
You think it's a bluff?
Come on. You're going to, it's a movie is what it is. That happens in movies. I've never seen that happen in anything in real life, anywhere.
Let me please
that
be
you're
clear.
going to parade her in front of it and say, hey, media, shout questions at her. So what?
I worked in Mobile, Alabama for 5 years. Perp walks were part of the routine. That was just, was culture
I get that. I get it. But a perp walk with a threat? And what are you charging her with? Exactly.
So that comes in later.
And one more quick point. I don't like when attorneys say, I'm working with an attorney right now in a very high profile case, hoping to get somebody high profile crime on camera. And I think we're going to do it. But again, I understand when attorneys don't want us to do that. I totally understand it. I don't like it. Why are you? I'll ask you. Why is he holding a press conference? A news conference. Why would he hold a news conference? And people demanding that they talk. There's something we call a constitution, and they have no reason to talk other than incriminating themselves, which, we're now seeing that they have possibly incriminated themselves by the fact that they said, in a civil case that is, they say that he said she's gone, Gabby's gone. Guess what? That could lose you that lawsuit. Just that statement.
The entire reason.
It is
for this lawsuit, by the way. Hold on 1 second. I want to make this point very, very, very clear to our audience. The reason the lawsuit exists, if the Laundries had just remained silent and never issued a statement, there's no grounds for the lawsuit that we are currently talking about going to trial in May. The reason the lawsuit exists is because the Petito and Schmidt families are alleging that through their statement on September 14th, where they hoped that Gabby and her family would be reunited,
That's right.
that Gabby would be found, that qualifies for intentional infliction of emotional distress. If the Laundries had just remained silent and never released a statement, never said a word through their attorney, there's no grounds for a lawsuit.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
Intentional in a courthouse, in a courtroom, is different than intentional. Like, I could throw this remote at you.
Right.
Intent has elements to it.
And that's why
So intentional, were they intentionally trying? I mean, I think that may be a tough thing to prove. I don't know.
Now, Walt and I are not attorneys.
That's right.
Emily Baker, Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, shout out. Emily D. Baker, shout out. They did great live streams talking about the legalities of the lawsuit, and it was fascinating to watch and listen to the two of them break this down. But okay, back to the FBI. The FBI is basically saying, do not, according to Bertolino's sworn testimony or sworn deposition, the FBI is communicating to Bertolino, you don't want to hold this press conference. If you do, we could move forward with an arrest of Roberta. And then, okay, you asked the question, what are the grounds? What would you charge Roberta Laundrie with? You're not charging her with the murder of Gabby Petito.
Why don't you want them to hold a press conference? Why does the FBI not?
That's a question for the FBI.
Do they, at that point, they have not found the body? Correct? 14th? No.
No. The body has no. The 14th is when the statement was released. The possible press conference, I believe, was either on the 21st or 22nd.
But the body has not been found yet.
No. The body. This is 2 days after the body was found.
Okay.
And the day after her remains identified.
Why would the FBI care? First, two questions I'd like you to answer, because you've covered this case so well and you know it. First of all, why does Mr. Bertolino need or want to hold a news conference? And secondly, why would the FBI be upset about a news conference when the body has already been found? Do they think, what do you think?
The second question is fascinating to me. Why would the FBI not want a Laundrie press conference?
Right.
That to me is very, very interesting.
How does it hurt their case?
Because
Because that's all it should be about, right? It should be about hurting their investigation, hampering their investigation. And why would you not want them to go public? The FBI does not ever go public during, well, I don't know about ever, but their line is we can neither confirm nor deny that no matter what you ask them. So I don't know whether that's why they want to button this up that way, but it's an interesting point. Why do they care whether or not whether Bertolino holds a news conference with his clients?
Okay. I'm trying to bring up here on document cam. I'm trying to bring up that point in time, but okay. So I'm going to read this here. This is from Bertolino. As far as the charge, all he would tell me was that he believed it was something electronic. It was something that they believed Roberta had done with electronics. And the only thing that we could come up with was that Roberta accompanied Brian to the cell phone store, end quote. So that's, remember the burner phone that we had talked about?
So she's hiding evidence she's helping him hide evidence? She's helping him get away?
Aiding in some capacity.
Right.
By helping
I
him
remember
get a phone.
that. Yeah,
but
I have that
as
in your
Bertolino
article.
says later on, if it's criminal to help your kid buy a phone, then there's going to be millions of parents across the country that are going to be. Yeah.
That's ignoring, I think, a very important point about this, though. That statement's interesting to me, but come on. It's apples and oranges.
The answer to your first question, I think, is here on page 79 of Bertolino's deposition. So Gabby's remains were discovered on the 20th, I believe. The 19th, I misspoke, on the 19th. And obviously on the 20th, the press was having many thoughts and conversations, and there was a lot of misinformation out there with respect to the Laundries, and I wanted to clear it up. So that's his reasoning. I wanted to clear it up. I spoke to Chris and Roberta about this, and I said, we need to set forth what happened, at least from their perspective. And I scheduled a press conference. I believe it was for the 21st. I got a call from the FBI, and they indicated to me, and I won't say no uncertain terms, but they indicated to me in terms that were clear that I should not have the press conference. I had my suspicions as to why. They indicated that if they went forward with the press conference, that they were going to arrest Roberta and put her through a full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else.
I know what he means by that, but right, just back that up. We need to set the record straight. Why do you need to set the record straight, Mr. Bertolino?
Right.
You don't need to do anything.
Why would the FBI not want them to speak.
It's a great, I don't know.
If we could go.
The FBI part is almost more fascinating to me because I don't get, first of all, we could do a poll on just attorneys, and I would think it would be 80-20, 90-10 that would say, you don't need to put your clients in front of the camera. Why would you do that? Why would you ever do that?
Bertolino isn't a criminal attorney.
Right. Okay. Well, does he want?
Let me be clear. He's not a criminal attorney.
I mean,
he is acting in the capacity of a criminal attorney.
Do you know why a lot of attorneys want to put their clients in front of the camera?
For good publicity, good press.
Absolutely. It's free advertising. And the ones that are honest will tell you that. And they use us. And then I've had bosses saying to me, they're using you. Well, or they have an axe to grind. I'm the grinder. That's what we do. We're going to let them grind the axe. We're going to make sure we follow our rules ethically and factually. But at the same time, yeah, they use us and they feed it. They're great sources. They'll tell us stuff. And sometimes I've had countless stories where I'll say so-and-so would not comment on the record, but so-and-so a lot of times is at least the person who gives me the string to pull on the story. But in this case, there's nothing. I do not see any advantage for them to hold that news conference. That's why the FBI part is more fascinating. Why did you not want them to hold the news conference?
For 1 second, can you imagine when this story is at its international peak? Brian Laundrie's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Gabby's remains just found. It is officially a manhunt for Brian Laundrie,
right.
One that is no longer. I mean, there were stuff coming in for him getting on a boat, going to Mexico or going to some
Canada. I had people calling me from Canada who were complete. And it was referenced in a story. Completely convinced
that it was him.
They saw him in Canada, and then we looked into how the border's not buttoned up there. That you could get across the border up there. All that stuff wasn't true.
Can you imagine at that time when you're getting those messages?
Right.
If A, there had been a press conference on the front lawn of that home, or B, if there was, or maybe it was Bertolino, it's never specified where the press conference would have taken place, I don't think. But if the FBI had arrested Roberta, gone into her home, and she came out in handcuffs with the international press lining the street there in Northport, can you imagine the level, the tier that this story goes into at that point? Now, it never happened. Let me be clear. Roberta Laundrie was never arrested. Chris and Roberta were never arrested or faced any charges of any kind. The FBI concluded their investigation. They closed it in January of 2022, and without any charge. The only charge that was ever filed was against Brian Laundrie for illegal use of Gabby's card, and that was it.
That's right. Do you think, though?
Yeah.
There's no way the FBI acknowledges that this happened.
No way.
There's no way. Because
yeah.
And I would also say that that the perp walk part is so dramatic. We'll put her in front of a perp walk.
There's no way. Hold on a second though. Just time out for 1 second. There's no way around it. If you arrest Roberta, if you have a warrant for her arrest for something connected to, let's say Bertolino's, hunch is right, and that it was an arrest for aiding Brian and getting his burner phone.
Trying to hide evidence.
Could
have been electronic in that Brian gave her his phone.
Yeah, we're again now, pretend time, perp walk. It's not like people think a perp walk is like this formal parade of a suspect in handcuffs. No, just her being taken out of the home and put into a police cruiser. That's a perp walk.
Right. But you could also then get her booked, talk to the sheriff's office or the police station and go, okay, what's the longest walk? What door can we leave? Again, if you want to put your sound effect on there.
Okay.
What's the longest walk we could walk her into the building?
Okay.
We could, we'll park we will pretend we can't park near the building and we're going to walk her. I don't know how big the parking lot is. We're going to walk her the entire length of the parking lot where it's public property and the media can do their thing and hammer her with questions. Those questions rarely get answered. But still, a lot of times for the reporter, it's about the question, not the answer.
I had friends that were cops in Alabama. again, I spent 5 years in Alabama, which was so fascinating for me as a journalist because I grew up in New York, and New York and Alabama are completely different places.
They might be exact opposites.
They might. You could make that. You could make that argument. I am sure. So Alabama culture to me was fascinating, and I do miss my days in Mobile, great town. But I remember I had friends who were cops there, and they would tell me, I had friends that did cops that did perp walks, and they would tell me, JB, sometimes if it's, depending on the perp walk, I'll just go really slow.
Absolutely.
I will, now I want you to picture, audience, I want you to picture like two cops on each arm of a suspect in handcuffs walking from point A to point B for a perp walk, and the officer's going, baby steps slow, sometimes intentionally, just to give us as members of the media opportunities to ask more questions and maybe, just maybe, get more answers. And
that's a big maybe. Nobody, you're not, well, the smart,
a little inside baseball,
but yeah, you're right. And it's usually the question. And again, I would go back to this point as to, okay, this is ironic that he's threatening a perp walk. Think about this. Mm-hmm. Is it G or Gee? Brian Gee, the FBI agent?
I keep mixing it up. I think it's Brian Gee.
He's allegedly, purportedly, threatening a perp walk to allow the media to ask questions so that Bertolino won't allow the media to ask questions.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
It doesn't make sense. And again, why do you put somebody who's not an attorney, and really you put some attorneys out in front of the camera who aren't used to it, they can make mistakes. But when they make a mistake, it's different than your client making some sort of thing that is misspeaking about some material fact. That's dangerous. That is a dangerous thing to do when your client's not, who's trained. You and I would probably be pretty good at it, I think. Who's trained to talk in front of the media off the cuff?
No, but that's why they print out a statement and they'll read it word for word.
Okay, well, I got that. So reading a statement's different than
you can call a press conference, read a statement.
No, that's true. That could have been. You're right.
That might have been.
That is
safer.
safer.
And then just say, we are taking no questions. But then at that point, if you're going to do that, why not just then release the statement to the media like you have over the past several weeks? Why show face?
There's no reason for it. I don't see the reason. And again, the FBI is threatening, hey, you'd better not do that, or you better not allow her to answer questions to the media, or we're going to make her answer questions to the media. Isn't that what this threat is?
Right.
Let
me be clear, because we have to move on to other stuff. Let me be clear. The FBI hasn't commented on Bertolino's accusations
but they never comment.
Of a potential, we are going to arrest Roberta conversation.
We're going to arrest Roberta, and again, this is Bertolino. This is not the agent. This is hearsay. We're going to arrest Roberta and put her through a full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else. Okay, and then we should add, if you allow her to go in front of the media and make statements in front of the media. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. The threat is the same. It's a threat to stop something that they're threatening to do.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I'll look. 90 seconds, I'll open this up to comments on Roberta's possible arrest. I'm going to start looking right now on my screen for VIP comments first. And we'll really quickly from Shih Tzu. Are you going to be reading the depositions today? I don't have time.
Show the deposition camera.
Deposition camera. You want me to?
How many pages?
Does everybody want me to like story time with JB and just start reading through? What would it take? A day? A 24-hour marathon live stream? It's.
That's how TV.
This is
some of the first television was
let
somebody
me
just reading out loud.
I'm going to show this to the camera. Hopefully everybody can see this on the camera. These pages on these, there's 4 pages per. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
So that's 4. So this
Q and A
is actually technically 215 pages. That's a lot of reading. So no, I will not be reading all of this.
A full day.
Hurricane Holly's comment is so big, but I'm going to read it. In fact, we have to readjust our code here because it's such a big comment that I can't even fit it all on screen, but I'll read it here. She says, Roberta did not seem truthful in her deposition. I'm so surprised to learn how much she hated poor Gabby and how creepy the relationship was between Brian and Roberta. I continue to be floored by the Laundries, their selfishness, lack of empathy or concern for others, poor attitudes, and passive-aggressive behavior disgust me to the core. Gabby was the complete opposite, and they didn't deserve to stand in the same room with her. I have to point out that there is not a single moment in the depositions where they say that they hated Gabby. To the contrary, I have to. There's a form of correction that we have to have here, even with a VIP comment like this, Hurricane Holly, that
I don't. Where does she get that from? Because I've read your pieces.
Yeah, and Roberta, and that's not in my reporting. Roberta and Chris claimed that they loved Gabby, that they really did enjoy her company.
I mean, is it hateful to say she used to disappear? That's just something that she claims she used to do.
I mean, whether or not you believe that's up to you as just a human being to determine if you think that they're telling the truth. But I can tell you there isn't a single line in the depositions where Roberta or Chris say that they didn't like Gabby.
You could definitely assume, though, that because they didn't tell the Petitos about their son's statement, she's gone, which is just glaring to me, that you wouldn't do that you have no regard for her, and definitely no regard for her parents,
right,
or the people who loved her as much as they may have, how they felt about her. But yeah, I mean that to me. But it's not. Is it hatred? I don't know. Doesn't seem.
We have to. I'm going to breeze through these other ones. Brian Laundrie's call activity. I have that in a report on WFLA.com. That is our cross-reference of the deposition, showing you the calls that we know were made.
Most interesting part of that in this article is that there was one call when he had already been frantic and already said she's gone, where Roberta didn't pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. Now, did she not see the call?
Was she?
I mean, if my son is involved in that, or my child, my friend,
missed call,
I think I'm picking up, but who knows?
Brian's calls, and then all the call activity that we know about is in my report on WFLA.com. Maybe moderators. The article is what's the title of that article? You have it there in front of you. I think it's like frantic phone calls or something like that. Maybe moderators, can you provide a link to those who are looking for that? But Brian Laundrie's call activity,
I think it is,
should be the very top of the first page on one of those documents. But anyway, moderators, if you can find.
Yeah, no, it is to me the most. Has probably the most interesting information. It was extremely frantic. Brian Laundrie's phone calls after Gabby Petito's murder revealed. And it's Feb 20th of 24.
Yep. So there's a link to that call activity. It takes you to WFLA.com and my report. Bertolino says, we're going down to the fourth one on this list. Bertolino, Brian Laundrie's attorney.
I thought this was interesting, yeah.
Says that he gave advice to stay put in Wyoming, and that he was, quote unquote, this is his words now, I'm going to be very clear, his words, he was annoyed. The word was annoyed that Brian returned home in Gabby's van and didn't stay put in Wyoming. So, is that a significant revelation to you? And then, okay.
Can I, one quick point on that?
Yeah.
In hindsight,
the worst part of that, stream.
In hindsight, the worst part of that is that it's Gabby's van. But you almost, from a defense attorney standpoint, and I don't know what the ethics are for an attorney here, don't you want him to leave? Because now to bring him back, you got to extradite him to get him back. Why would you have him stay? If he stays, you're setting him up for an arrest because you've already determined I may need a criminal attorney.
The optics of this story, him returning home
without
his fiance. The optics are really terrible.
Unless you realize that the truth really, at that point is she's dead and he knows it.
You could make the argument that this story hit the stratosphere when he returned home in her van without her.
Now, that's true. But in hindsight, she's dead. So he's annoyed that she returned home. I get that, but it does look bad. But at that point, we don't know that she's gone unless they did.
You don't know who knows what.
Unless they do know. Unless that question was asked, what do you mean she's gone? And he told them. what he meant by that.
The other one on this list is the storage unit mystery. We have a poll coming up about this, and we're about to reveal the results. You know what? We're going to save the storage unit mystery for later on in the show. Let's reveal the results of our poll.
All right.
We've gotten close enough to 300 votes, but I would love to push for more, but we just have to get moving here. 62% of our audience says that Gabby's gone is the most significant revelation, and really what that means as far as Brian's parents being told that Gabby's gone, and
you see, you had it in order. You put it in order. I mean, I thought it was,
storage unit mystery.
We'll
get to that. So we appreciate those participating in our interactive poll.
I'd like to know what the others are.
Hopefully, everybody sees the mechanism and how it works. This is interactive journalism, trying to get an idea as to what we should be focusing on, and or not what we should be focusing on, but what interests you the most when it comes to the stories that we cover. This is not a feature that we are just going to have. Excuse me. It's not a feature that we're just going to have for Petito coverage. This is going to be for a lot of live streams. I'm really looking forward to
good stuff.
Idaho and Brian Koberger and that story getting this kind of treatment so that we can hear from our audience. Let's move on to the next, because we got to keep moving on. Okay, fresh new poll, audience. Now log in to www.heyjb.live. Do you think Brian Laundrie told his parents that he killed Gabby Petito? Yes, during the trip, as in the trip itself, even on the way home to Florida. Yes, after he got home to Florida, where he came clean upon returning home with the van. Or no, he never told them. We have moved on from the old poll, so we want you guys to log back on to the control panel and vote now in this poll. But really, this is the case. This is the
You're right.
massive lingering question that still exists.
You're right. It's back to she's gone, and it's bigger than she's gone. It's much bigger than she's gone, because theoretically, I'm not positive about this, but your legal experts would probably be able to tell you, if they knew, there's a crime there. Right? There's a crime there if they knew. If he said it and they didn't tell anybody, I think there's a potential crime there.
Let's open up the VIP comments, and Tom says hi. That's the only VIP comment that I see right now. Audra wants to know, why would Chris and Roberta not have asked him what exactly he meant when he said Gabby's gone? As a parent, right. I would have been asking more questions. Right. This is exactly
over and over. Tell me, son, what do you mean she's gone? That's your child. What do you mean she's gone, Brian? I mean, yeah, she's right.
In Joe Petito's deposition, hopefully I can find it. Well, look, Joe Petito's deposition is tricky because it's filled with expletives. But he basically says he's asked questions about what a parent would do if they called up and said, my fiance's gone. And Joe, I think it would be fair to say, and this is my words, but he goes off. I mean, he just goes off.
Of course he does. It's a question, unless, but again, we all parent differently. If you're the type of parent, that's nice, son.
Town says they absolutely knew.
They absolutely knew what? That she was murdered?
I think based on the question, yes. Crystal says, I think he told his mom is more specific.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, they're together a lot when he comes back. The camping trip.
Mom's garage, his parents knew immediately. Queen Weeble, I believe he did. What parent wouldn't ask for clarification?
I don't. Well, I will tell you. Who is it? Queen Weeble? Is that what the name is? I would say yes. That some parents wouldn't. Having covered DCF stories and DCYF stories up north, there are parents who don't parent, and that is the crux of, I would say, a very high percentage of crimes I've covered. And you only find out when they're sentenced.
Poor parenting or lack of parenting, or both?
Both. It is you go to a jail, you talk to inmates, you go to a sentencing, and it always comes out in a sentencing about how poorly people are raised. That doesn't mean they shouldn't go to jail, doesn't mean they shouldn't be locked up. But the point is, there are parents who wouldn't ask. I would, and I think Queen Weeble would ask, and I agree with Queen Weeble. but there are parents who would not ask.
Words I never thought I'd hear my senior investigator
I
WFLA
believe in
say.
Queen
I
Weeble.
believe in Queen Weeble. That's the best part of live streaming is some of the names that we get. KK says in a VIP comment, in my honest opinion, Brian's parents knew everything. I want to be clear about the VIP comments. Later on in the show, we are going to take comments regardless of the, we're going to try to get to as many other comments right now. We're just trying to highlight comments from people who voted on www.heyjb.live. So hopefully that makes sense. Kim just put this one in a moment ago. I believe in Roberta's deposition. She refers to Gabby being gone, and she means being deceased. Lawyer Peter Trago, shout out, brought this up, and I thought it was a good call out. It means she does understand gone to be deceased, just not just disappeared. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I remember that from Peter's conversation, I believe. And Peter, did you meet Peter when he was here?
I think so, yes.
He's a Greek guy, long flowing hair. He's got a mustache now. What do you guys think of the mustache?
Another poll question.
Yeah, it's another poll question. All right, let's reveal the results. Let's give another 30 seconds, but let's last call for your votes. Do you think Brian Laundrie told his parents that he killed Gabby Petito? We're trying to get as many votes as possible here. It was either yes, he told them during the trip, yes, after he got home from the trip, or no, he never told them. It's really one of... It can't be a fourth outcome.
I don't think you're going to get a single vote in the last one. I'm going to go out on the edge here.
I can see the vote totals, so...
Am I wrong?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
And I'm not saying that I don't necessarily agree. I think there's a possibility. No, we never... I think there's a slight possibility. But anyway, what's the results? What do we got?
All right, let's do it. Let's bring it up. The
60,
results
25, 60, 20.
of the poll. Do you think Brian Laundrie told his parents he killed Gabby Petito? 70% believe that it was during the trip. Wow. 28% after he got home. No, he never told them. 2% of our audience.
If we're being make-believe because I don't have opinions as a journalist, I think I'd go with number 2. Although did saying she's gone, is that in essence telling her? And maybe I get the logic behind number 1 because we all think most parents would say, "What do you mean by gone, Brian? What do you mean by gone?"
Yep. I think most people, if somebody's gone is such a vague term. Gone could mean deceased. Gone could mean disappeared.
It's a dramatic way. It's a very dramatic way to say we broke up.
Yes. Oh,
a
Gabby's
very
we're done. We're over. We're broken up.
Very dramatic way to say it, though.
It's very true. All right, we got to move on to the next poll question because we are we only have a finite amount of minutes because of News Nation. Okay, can I preface this? May I please just kind of go into this a little bit? Okay.
I remember the storage unit as such a sidebar back in the day. So yes, please preface.
Okay. Over the last couple of years in covering this story, all right, and I have stayed on this story. Most people have, kind of let this story be. I, as a curious journalist, cannot let it be. So actually, let it be. Shout out to Gabby and her memory. But there was a question that lingered in my mind, and it was the Fort DeSoto camping trip. You remember the camping trip,
right?
I think it was first weekend in September.
Right.
Brian, upon getting home, Gabby's gone. We now know that he murdered her. Goes camping with his family at Fort DeSoto. His mom, his dad, his sister, others. And I thought, man, that's really strange. If I had just murdered my fiance, not that I could really even put myself in that frame of mind. I can't. So it's kind of a moot point. But doing something as jovial as camping and something as wholesome as roasting s'mores over a campfire with your family, that just seemed to me like this very odd thing. And my opinion on this is now, after reading these depositions, it just, you know what the answer to that seems to be, if you believe the depositions, is that the Fort DeSoto camping trip was just them trying to go on, just trying to let everything be perceived as this is normal life. Everything's normal. Nothing to see here. This is normal life. That's basically how this reads in the depositions. My curiosity has shifted now, and it goes to the storage unit. Let me explain without referencing lines in the documents because that will take forever. I'm just going to kind of break down what we know about the storage unit mystery. In the days before Gabby and Brian leave Florida, Walt, in the days before, they actually go up to New York first for Gabby's family, and then they begin the cross-country trip. In the days beforehand, Brian Laundrie doesn't tell his parents that he does this. He just decides to do it. He moves, according to the deposition. This is all according to the depositions. Let me just say that. Brian Laundrie decides to move his and Gabby's belongings into a storage unit. Chris Laundrie in the deposition says that he found out about it because he found a receipt for the storage unit. He said, "Oh, this is interesting. Storage unit. Okay, so you're in essence, you're moving out. You're moving out. You're moving your belongings out of the house and into a storage unit." And okay, that's that. And then they leave on the trip. In August, mid-August, Brian flies. This is after Moab. Brian flies home. Think about this. Brian and Gabby are on a cross-country trip from New York to, as we now understand it, maybe to a pumpkin farm in Oregon. It's a whole other thing. But they leave, and Brian decides midway through this trip to leave the trip, to leave his fiance in a hotel, and to fly home to see his parents and to move everything out of the storage unit, as it was described, to save money. So it just seems, it doesn't seem like normal behavior given, he had just decided days before they left on the trip to move everything, all his belongings, into a storage unit. Then he, as we understand it, we don't have the receipts, but it's believed that Brian Laundrie bought a plane ticket to leave from, I believe, Salt Lake City, fly home to Florida, spend several days at home in Florida, and then move everything that he had just moved a few weeks prior, move everything from the storage unit back into his parents' home, and then go back out and reunite with his wife-to-be, Gabby Petito, and to resume their cross-country trip. And it just strikes me as weird, odd, peculiar behavior. Why would you move? It seems
like a breakup, doesn't it?
Have you ever moved anything into a storage unit?
No.
I've done it.
It's a waste of time and money.
Pain.
It's like a last-ditch effort where you don't have room for it somewhere.
It's a pain. You got to load everything into your vehicle. You're schlepping it over to a storage unit.
Moving's terrible as it is.
You're getting the cart from the storage unit facility. You're wheeling it to your storage spot. You're opening it up. You're dealing with the front office people. You're signing paperwork. You're doing. It's just a hassle.
It's a full day.
Yeah, it is. It is almost depending on how much stuff you have. It is almost a day. So days before the trip, I mean, we're talking late June 2021. He moves everything into a storage unit, and then midway through the trip has this eureka moment where he says, "You know what? I need to save some money. Let me buy a plane ticket, fly home, and move everything back into my parents' house." He could have just waited until they got home from the trip. Now look, that brings in the whole pumpkin farm thing. Apparently, going through the depositions, there was this idea that Brian and Gabby had to go to Oregon to learn to be pumpkin farmers. How long that would have taken and how long they would have been in Oregon being pumpkin farmers, we don't know. But we are asking something here because I asked this to Pat Riley. I called up Pat one day. Called him up. Pat, I can't wrap my brain around this. And I believe I have a recording of this phone call because I record Pat's conversations in the event that I need to reference them in my quotes and my notes. And he goes, "JP, I don't know." His words were, "It's a mystery." So that's why storage unit mystery is there, because even the Petito and Schmidt side can't figure out why Brian would fly home mid-trip, see his parents, move everything back into his home after he just moved it into the storage unit. It just doesn't. 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4 in this case. So I'm asking our audience.
Do we know, sorry to interrupt, do we know that is it his and Gabby's stuff that he's moving?
I believe it is he and Gabby's stuff. Moving the stuff that they had together as being a engaged couple. And I'll triple check my notes afterwards, but I believe it's referenced in there as it was their stuff. So, like, why are you moving it back in? And that's, that, okay. So we ask our audience, is there something more to the storage unit mystery? Or no, it's inconsequential. It was just Brian just deciding that he needed to get everything out of there. And here are your results. 94% say, nah, something's not right. Or yes, something's not right. No, it's inconsequential, got 6% of the vote. Just real quick before we move on, what do you make of that?
It's definitely, it's odd. The saving money thing, I guess, makes sense, except the flight part. And why are you leaving mid-trip? To me,
This is
hypothetically, to me, you're leaving mid-trip sounds maybe that there was trouble in the van at that point, maybe that they weren't getting along. But then the conflict there would be, then why are you moving all your stuff back into your parents' stuff?
Keep in mind, context-wise, right? Brian's flight home to move everything back into his parents' house is sandwiched between Moab and Gabby's murder.
Right. That's right.
All happened in the same month. All in the same month. In order.
Why are you moving?
Moab.
Wouldn't you throw her stuff on the lawn if you're going to break up and move just your stuff in? You're right. If he just flies back, there's trouble in paradise, and we know now there was trouble in paradise because the Moab incident, right? But then what? You're moving back, but you're staying together because you moved her stuff into the storage unit, or are we fascinated by this because is there something in the storage unit that he could have gotten rid of? Is there something that he got rid of when he came back? I don't know. It is a mystery.
June, he decides to get the storage unit and move everything out of his parents' house, and then
because they're planning to live together, they're moving to. They're gonna go grow pumpkins. So they want their stuff consolidated, but don't you keep it in your parents' house and then move it after? I mean, I don't know. There's definitely some questions to ask about that.
94% of our audience think that something's not right there.
It is an odd thing.
Very odd thing. Let's move on to the next question because we only have another 40 or so minutes on stream, and then I gotta make time for people to ask questions. So usually our streams are more Q&A. This one we're trying to get through these poll questions, and then we will get to the Q&A. Next question again, open up a browser on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet, any web browser, and go to www.heyjb.live, and you could answer this question. Will the lawsuit make it to a jury trial? Let's check my phone. I have not gotten any significant updates. So right now, again, as a reminder, the sides are attempting to mediate right now. They're participating in a mediation conference. The purpose of this is to try to avoid a trial and see if some deal can be reached.
Do we know if if the judge said, "Hey, you should go into mediation"? Is this court ordered mediation?
I don't even know. I have not seen a court order for mediation.
But could it have been said in a hearing?
Yeah,
could it have been said in chambers? Why don't you guys try to work this out? Did that have happened?
Isn't that like SOP for every civil case? Mediation is like it's.
I don't know the answer. I don't know about every.
Expected.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe that's true. Maybe you need to do that before a judge wants to spend the taxpayer's dime on jury, court officers, security, the media zoo outside.
Trials are expensive.
Yes. They are expensive. Prosecutors don't like them.
And if you can avoid them by getting everybody in a room and saying, you're going to pay so that we don't have to go to trial, because you're going to waste, basically they're going to say, look, you're going to waste X amount of dollars if you go to trial. That's what it's going to, it's going to be pricey. This is the reality of where we are. It's like being in the on-deck circle and like, okay, this is what we're facing now.
If you take Joe Petito at his word, and I do, mediation does not accomplish what he said in that deposition. It does not accomplish that. He wants them on the stand to answer follow-up questions about, what do you mean you didn't ask what "she's gone" meant? You're under oath. I'll remind you, you're under oath.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? That's an opportunity for Joe and the whole family to get some answers. And it's incriminating as heck, no matter what the answer
is. You could make the argument that through the media, everything the Laundries what they would say under oath is right here. Exactly what they would say in a jury trial is right here, because these are sworn depositions now, and we now know what the Laundries would say if they took the stand.
We don't know.
That's true.
And here's the thing. That's why that's the best part of every legal TV show or the gotcha moment, right? I know this.
Could Riley Weaves?
I'm going to practice. What do you think, law clerk? What do you think, legal expert? What do you think? Oh, you should really hit home on this, because, and again, it's the same reason why an attorney does not want to hold a news conference for two people who are suspected of this or that. You don't want to do that because they're human. It's not AI. They're human, and they could answer. They could come up with an answer where the court, and this is what you wait for, right? We see it in every movie. The gasp in the courtroom. They broke her. A few good men.
It happened in Depp versus Heard.
That's right.
It happens in so many high-profile trials.
That's right.
When
there's no reason to settle this for the Petitos. There's no reason. The settling is only for the Laundries. It's not for the Petitos, unless and I take them at their word. It's their daughter. They would give anything to get her back. So it is not about money. I take them at their. It a lot of times is. It's the only way we can punish, really, right? How else can you punish? It's a civil case, so it's about money.
I'm a big baseball guy, and spring training around the corner here. Actually, we're basically in spring training now. And every year, before the season begins, there's all these projections. Who's going to have the most wins? Who's going to make it to the World Series? And basically, computer models that will try to predict the output of it. But you can't predict what can really happen in a baseball season, in a 162-game season, just like you cannot predict what will actually happen during a jury trial.
That's right.
So is the deposition satisfactory for Joe Petito? He's saying that there is no amount of money that will get him to settle. Now, but at the same time...
And by the way, those you have those depositions. The world doesn't have those depositions. Those aren't public record, right?
So, right.
Okay, so the point would be, you're reporting it, but the one caller wants you to
anybody can access them, though. I'll tweet them all out. I mean, they're
right.
You can download the PDF.
Right, but without you, they're not out there, correct?
No, well, the court portal is public record.
The depositions are available. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not.
Well,
sometimes depositions are not. But
I'm trying to remember if they were public or if I had to request access. Now it's fuddled.
Well, people won't go through all that, but the point would be the general public does not know those depositions inside and out. So, yeah.
Let's go to I'm going to give everybody another minute or two to vote on this poll. Will the lawsuit make it to a jury trial? Also have to state, there could be summary judgment by the judge who just determines, hey, look, we know what this is going to be. We're going to avoid trial and issue summary judgment. We don't...
Have the Petitos filed a motion, the Petitos and the Schmitz, have they filed a motion for summary judgment?
Bertolino has.
Right. So the Petitos, obviously the Petitos haven't. So, which is another reason why I don't think mediation is going to work. Every defense attorney files that motion.
Printed it. But Bertolino filed a motion for summary judgment. And even though I don't think look, our good friend, Emily, good seeing you. I love that I can see who's commenting along with us here. Emily DB. Okay, so have you met Emily? I don't know if you've met Emily. Emily, meet Walt.
Hey, Emily.
Our senior investigator, Walt, has covered this case for me from very, very early on, really from the get-go. Emily is, I'll just use her words, the internet's go-to legal analyst who has been with us on stream before and a great friend of the program. I'd like to. I'm one of Emily's biggest fans.
The public can read them, though.
What? Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me read the comment. I'm just so delighted to see Emily in our comment section. I forgot to read the comment. Emily says the depositions are public. They were filed with the summary judgment motions. Yeah. So
There you go.
That sometimes in the court portal,
But
I have to hit a button as a media member to request access.
if you're the parent and you want this out there, you want these people's feet held to the fire, the depositions aren't enough, in my opinion. You want a courtroom. You want a jury of their peers. You want coverage. You want, we've lost something. We want you to tell the public what you knew and when you knew it.
Right.
The depositions don't really do that. They get close to it, right?
Yep. Massive difference between the depositions and the words being made public versus them being called to the stand, having to sit there, and face the cameras, face the lights, and face the questions in real time.
And that's 200, 300, 10 hours of reading over there is going to be condensed into, again, they're going to go over those depositions and they're going to say, oh, we got to hammer this point. We got to hammer that's the intro to the movie. That's the prologue. In the actual courtroom, you're going to establish some foundation of whoever is on the stand, and then you're going to hone in on that, and you're going to look for them to be inconsistent with what they said in the depositions. Is what you want to show the jury.
Then you catch them. You bring up the records. And
wait.
Yeah,
go to line 5. So I don't think it does. If you take Joe at his word, it doesn't seem like the depositions are enough.
Emily, if you want to shout out a percentage chance that this goes to trial in May as scheduled, let me know. I'll look for your. It's easy to see her profile picture because the purple hair, the flowing purple hair. Purple's her thing, man. Emily loves purple.
Very cool.
And so the purple hearts are flowing in our comments.
And again,
section,
you're not
really
saying
cool.
go to make it to a jury trial in May. You're saying make it to a jury trial. If I was going to say, I don't think it's going to make it in May. I don't think it's going to happen in May. But I just am used to delays for trials.
I think that this has been put off enough by enough pretrial motions that May seems like if it's going to happen in May is going to be it. There was a case management deadlines motion that was filed, but to my understanding with the case is that May looks like a pretty likely window.
There you go.
Emily. Emily, at this point, I might even just bring you in on Zoom. They want to talk about that burn after reading letter in court. Oh, yeah. That's a whole other thing. We did I've done videos on the burn after reading letter, and that could really push us back. So, but I will, the burn after reading letter that, again, for those unfamiliar, that is what
it's Roberta, a really good point.
a handwritten letter, a note that Brian received from Roberta, and is quite peculiar. I'll just leave it at that. That Emily's pointing to that being a significant piece of evidence that would be on display in an actual trial. And Emily commenting here, hey, JB, I think that Bertolino has a stronger argument on summary judgment. I think the Laundries will see trial. Oh. Emily breaking some news here with her fingertips. I wholly respect her opinion because she has tremendous experience both in court or really on the legal side and then, of course, on the analysis side. And so she is saying she thinks that the Laundries will see trial, but that maybe Bertolino has a strong argument towards summary judgment. And let me remind our audience, Bertolino was added as a defendant.
That's right. I didn't get what she was saying at first, but now she's talking Bertolino, the defendant, not Bertolino, the attorney.
Yes. Yeah. Pat Riley filed the lawsuit on behalf of Gabby Petito's parents against the Laundries and then filed a motion later on, a motion that we covered extensively here on stream, to add Bertolino as a third co-defendant. And what she is saying here is that Bertolino has a stronger argument on summary judgment. Fascinating. All right, let's reveal the results of this poll and see exactly how many people think that the lawsuit will make it to a jury trial.
70-30.
You're going 70-30?
82-28.
Oh. Wait, did you say 82? I caught you on some bad math.
82-18. All right, yeah.
84-16. So 84% of our audience thinks that it will make it to a jury trial. I'm curious if Emily has a thought on whether or not does she agree with our audience that there's about an 84% chance that this actually goes to trial, 16% that it doesn't make it. And again, I'm keeping an eye on my phone. You know what? Let's just see if we can get any update on how mediation is going. Because that, again, they're meeting in a mediation conference right now. And yeah, just keep paying attention to what's going on. Okay, let's go to Aline, and then we'll go to the next, I think it's the final poll question. In my opinion, the Laundries knew what he did to Gabby, and they need to lose everything. Gabby's parents are so nice. I met them at her memorial service. Her father was in shock that I drove 3.5 hours from Trenton, New Jersey.
Wow.
Aileen,
The impact of this goes to the fact that Gabby Petito had put herself out there as this vibrant personality, and that even if you didn't follow her,
beloved, no doubt.
even if you didn't follow her while she was doing it, afterwards she drew you in because of just, she was telegenic, and bright, and and I mean bright, like she had a good aura about her on camera, if you will, and that these folks really feel they knew her because she wanted them to know her. And that's what made this case, I think, as fascinating as anything.
Really quickly, I want to get to just 2 comments. Erica says, native Rhode Islander here. We miss you, Walt.
Not a native. I was raised by natives, but I was there a long time. But yes, thank you. Rhode Island's great.
And
love
then
Rhode Island.
Natalie, I love this question. It's a great question, Natalie. This is from YouTube, so we're dipping into YouTube here in addition to the VIP comments. #KJB, what is the end goal of all this? Joe said he doesn't care about money, and it won't bring justice. What's the end goal? It's a perfect segue. Absolutely perfect. It's almost as if I scripted it myself.
You read it, though. You read what his end goal is. He wants to know.
Our final poll question interactively here on stream. Again, you can go to heyjb.live to vote. Will there ever be justice for Gabby Petito? You can vote very simply, yes or no. And I bring this up because in my initial report on the depositions, I'm going to read this. From my reporting, this is from WFLA.com. When asked if Brian's death allowed him to escape accountability, Joe Petito said Brian Laundrie took the quote-unquote coward's way out, preventing his family from getting justice. Quote, and by him dying, you were not able to get justice, is the question that he was asked as far as Joe Petito. Joe Petito responding, quote, there will be no justice for Gabby Petito, end quote. Another follow-up question to Joe. Does this lawsuit have anything to do with you seeking justice? Joe responds, this lawsuit is to get a sense, but no, it's really to hold people accountable for their actions and their choices, end quote.
When you lose a child, there's no justice when you lose a child. When you lose your life, there's no justice. There's absolutely no justice. Not even the death penalty.
Did justice elude the Petito and Schmidt family the moment that Brian Laundrie took his own life?
Absolutely. Well, no, I think it eluded them the moment he took her life. There's no justice. If Brian was in a jail cell today, prison cell, does it make them feel any better?
Is that justice? I'm asking you as a parent.
No.
It's not justice.
No, it's not.
What if it was a capital crime?
Look, that's my child, and Brian's not my child. My child's gone. Whether he gets the death penalty or not, there's no justice for Gabby Petito, ever. There just isn't. Is there I think Joe hit the nail on the head. Accountability? 100%. Accountability is important. But what does justice mean? Justice to me does not, the Gabby Petito is still gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment she took her last breath, there was no chance for justice for her, no matter what happens. And maybe I have a different definition of justice. I look at it as fairness. It's just not fair, when somebody loses their life. I don't care what happens to the other person.
Justice means, that word means different things to different people. Team Brittany, one of our YouTube moderators, say here that losing a child equals losing your own life, and that's the opinion of one of our great YouTube moderators.
I totally agree with that. At least part of your life.
It's dense subject matter, no doubt.
Yeah.
And look, Joe Petito is of the opinion that there will never be justice for Gabby Petito. Now, let's pretend time to break up the moment here for a second, but let's just fast forward in time. Maybe we're hitting the fast forward button on this story. Let's say it does go to trial in May. The Laundries take the stand. And the Laundries are found to be responsible, guilty of intentional infliction of emotional distress, and have to pay some otherworldly sum of money to Gabby Petito's family, who then in turn take those funds, what they do receive, and spin that or redistribute that directly into the Gabby Petito Foundation. Now, I remember hearing Emily. Emily said that this case, if I remember I don't remember what context she mentioned this comment on, but she said that there's this would live in the world of appeals for so long.
That's true.
In that scenario, that there would be appeals launched left and right to delay any type of financial
punitive damages
going from one side to the other.
That's true.
And,
that's
Emily, feel free to clarify your comments. I know you're in our comment section. That would undoubtedly be, well,
if you need the money, if you want the money, then that's a problem. Because look, there's no way the Laundries are going to agree to some decision by a mediator and say, but you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Petito and Mr. the Schmitz, do you know what? You can go talk about this case as much as you want now. You can go out there and go. That's just not going to be part of it. There's just no way. And so with that in mind, I would think, again, taking them at their word, they want someone's feet held to the fire. They want accountability. They don't care about the appeals process at that point, right? Because they wouldn't even care at that point if it got overturned, because they got their day in court. They got their day in court to say, hey, these guys, and they did something wrong here. And I think I would like to say it's a message to another parent out there that would do the same thing, trying to protect their child, if that's what happened here. But I will say, if not justice, the fact that a large chunk of money could be put into this foundation, and there are plenty of foundations that don't do enough. I mean, they're out there and they get money, but I would suspect when somebody will lean into a foundation like that, it could save lives. It could save somebody else's life by helping them get out of a dangerous situation, right? Isn't that what it would be about with the Gabby Petito Foundation? And there's definitely something close to justice there, where the death means something, saves other lives, helps other people get out of bad relationships. There's something to be said for that.
Patty's opinion, justice equals accountability and truth. In my opinion, the Petitos will never get that. The Laundries will never give them that. Okay. Let's see here. Emily's commenting back that IIED, so intentional infliction of emotional distress law in Florida, hasn't been used this way. Whatever happens, the Court of Appeals will be involved for years. I think Gabby's parents want and deserve answers. Hopefully they will get them right.
Very good point.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, by the way. So I
think that Emily is what Emily is getting at with this comment is that the scenario that I laid forth, where the Laundries are defeated in court, the Petito and Schmidt side emerges victorious, and then by Christmas time there's a fat $1 million check going from one side to the other. That's just that scenario really doesn't exist because of the inevitability of appeals.
One of the coolest things about the law is it's a living thing. So what she points out there, if true, if it has not been used this way, well, now it's going to get used this way. And theoretically, the higher courts could say, we're never using it this way again. We're tossing it. Or we're not tossing it. It eventually gets paid out. It comes to an end. Or, another scenario is you don't want to you want us to appeal this, or do you want to settle afterwards? The cat's already out of the bag. You got them on the stand or whatever. You got to ask your questions. You got your day in court. Let's avoid the appeals. Let's settle. You can settle after, couldn't you? I don't even know if I don't know if that's true or not. I believe you could, though.
That's why having a legal expert is always great.
Can you settle a civil case? You get a jury decision. Could you then settle after?
I think you could settle at any point.
Right. Okay,
But once it's in the hands of once the judge has a jury decision, I believe really it's the court that of course is then in control of really the case itself. From that point, you have a jury's verdict. You have a decision that was rendered in your courtroom.
My favorite attorney, Google.
Well, I asked Google. We got Emily here, but
maybe she knows the answer to that.
Look, I want to close this poll and show everybody the result on screen. Will there ever be justice for Gabby Petito? And an even 75% of our audience say no, and agree with you, Walt, that no, there will and agree with Joe Petito. Joe Petito is the reason we're asking this question.
Yeah,
he said point blank, there will never be justice for Gabby Petito in his view, and 75% of our audience agrees with him. So, and that, with 15 minutes remaining in the stream, that brings us to our live Q&A. Full range, anything's on the table. VIP comments get treated first, but hashtag HeyJB on YouTube, hashtag HeyJB on Facebook, or hashtag HeyWalt anywhere. We're going to bring in any comments from anywhere, but VIP comments from www.heyjb.live will come in first. So, and you can submit your comments now. Emily's got you don't need Google. You got Emily D. Baker in our comment section.
Yes.
We're honored. Yes, you can settle after Walt. The Depp versus Heard
was
settled on appeal.
That's exactly right, Emily. Thank you.
And and she gave us an example too, which is extremely helpful. All right, full range of questions.
The visuals
comments.
of this story just are striking.
Brian's
when I see
look at Nicole.
I see Gabby walking alive, or walking, that picture, heartbreaking, right? You get the heartbreak, and then you see the scrawled note that he left behind, wet, right? Dampened by the rain. Just it's the visuals are stunning. How many there are that really tell this story from the beginning to the end. And just that picture, just completely, even that, the whole thing. We've seen it many times, and yet it still, as a father, still strikes me. All these pictures.
Yeah, no, and it's, yeah, you look at them now, and it's just, this story is still alive through people who follow it.
It really is.
That's really it. I mean, if you're watching this live stream right now, this story means something to you. It is something that you still hold on to. A lot of the world have turned their attention, and look, so have we. I mean, we were talking about Audrey Cunningham last night, the 11-year-old whose body was found in Texas. I mean, absolutely terrible. We, of course, we focus on a lot of different stories here in the Stream Center, but this one having such an emotional connection to our audience, we constantly push for answers on this story, and that's my promise to people.
There's some important points here that need to be made over and over. Is that this was an abusive relationship that one person should have gotten out of. That's a great reminder for anybody else out there that there is help. And then just the legal questions of how much, and I'm speaking hypothetically here, how much should you protect your own child?
I'm reading some comments here. VIP comment from Andrew, hashtag HeyJB, there will never be justice for Gabby, but there will be justice for others who are missing because of a similar situation. Look at why the Gabby Petito Foundation was created.
Great point, Andrew.
Natalie, hashtag HeyJB, are they mediating to settle? Yeah, and I am awaiting. It's ongoing. I can just...
The they is, I'm skeptical on the they. Are they meeting to settle? One side wants to settle. Are they mediating to settle? The Laundries want to settle. There's no way the other side wants to settle. This isn't a slip and fall accident where you want to pay for medical expenses because because you can't walk anymore. This is a short of going to trial for a criminal case. This is about
a wise man once said, before you ask your question, the answer is money. Money is going to govern everything that surrounds this case, with all how expensive a trial is for both sides. For both sides,
right.
So there might be, and we look. I'm just speaking in general terms here. Emily knows. Others who follow cases know that court is expensive.
Yes.
Attorneys are expensive.
Yes.
Okay. And so if look, both sides are going to look at the reality of the situation with how expensive it would be to go to trial versus, hey, look, can this be settled here and now today?
There's another expense too, and that's the expense of emotions by both sides. But I would say in many ways, especially the Laundries, because they've been vilified, fair or not. They're being vilified. They're being vilified today. They were skeptical of why they wouldn't ask the question, "What do you mean by gone?" But that emotional toll. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Your son's dead, but your child is also dead, and you are being told that you did something wrong.
It's very easy to envision a scenario where the Laundries just want to be left alone.
Oh my goodness!
The Laundries are looking at this from the perspective, you can envision it. Laundries are seeing this as, our son walked into a reserve and took his own life. He is dead at the age of 22. They're looking, again, this is how they would look at it given their situation. They would say, we have suffered.
They have
suffered.
They have.
And they would say, this is now additional amounts of suffering. Now the Gabby Petito side would say, oh, wait, you've suffered? Your son murdered our daughter.
Your suffering, your son is to blame for your suffering.
Right.
I mean, I think what they would argue.
Pretend sound effect there, because we're trying to envision
but the emotional toll is of going to trial and then of the appeals process. It's going to be part of your life for another 2, 3, 4 years, maybe longer. You definitely want it to go away. There's no doubt you want, and even then, it's not going away because you lost your child. Fair or not, whether he deserved to do or not.
Hold on, I put up Mac's comment and forgot. We're going to try to get. I only have another. I have 15 minutes. News Nation. I was going to do like a 3-hour stream today, and then News Nation called up and said, "Hey, we want you on News Nation at 2:20." So I got about 15 minutes.
Oh, this is a good point.
Okay, Mac, I think it's possible that the Laundries didn't, quote unquote, know that Gabby was dead, but intentionally. I get the vibes that they would have rather been ignorant to whatever Brian did and pretend like everything was normal versus accepting that their son was a monster. This is a very interesting comment. And again, this is the opinion of Mac, one of our commenters who submitted the VIP comment to heyjb.live.
I think there's something in the depositions about this, isn't there?
Oh, well, no. I mean, look. Chris and Roberta are prodded by Riley in these depositions as to Gabby being gone versus Gabby being dead.
Made a statement.
So what? Well, he did make a statement that he basically said, Gabby's gone. The thought entered my mind that Gabby was dead.
Do you ever ask? Okay, second. This is one of your stories. This is this one. I think it's the one we referenced before.
Mm-hmm.
The second call between Chris and Brian didn't get addressed specifically in Riley's line of questioning to Chris. Did you ever ask him what happened? Riley asked. I asked him where I was when I was on the phone, and he panicked and freaked out. So I didn't ask, Chris said. After that, did you ask him? Riley followed up. No, Chris said. Why not? I didn't know what to do. At this point, we were told not to discuss. Steven asked me, don't discuss with Brian. And that's what I did. And that's what I think the point Mac is making. I don't want to know because then I know and I'm in trouble.
As a parent, would you ever think, man, I don't want to know what you did?
If you think legally.
If you think, who?
Yeah. I mean, having done it so long, I've never, thank God, never had to deal with anything like this. But
I mean, you could make the argument. You could make the argument that given how traumatic of a thing occurred there in August of 2021, that the first thing you do is you call an attorney to help you figure out what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, and that's really what the Laundries did.
So
the phone call histories on WFLA.com. Bertolino was engaged in the earliest of calls.
Mac, that's a great point Mac made, that they might not have known intentionally. And I think that is what an attorney, you don't want to know, because now you know, and now if you're under oath, you're obligated to tell them or it's perjury.
I have to make a point. Facebook has changed something to our Facebook audience that's listening. So our system here, and I'll try to be brief because we only have a few more minutes. Our system here at WFLA plucks questions from social media. And every time that it's a pluck, it's considered an action. And Facebook just sent us an alert basically saying that too many actions have been performed. So we're plucking too many Facebook comments into our Stream Center chat system. So Facebook is down because of YouTube doesn't have that restriction. I didn't take Facebook down. We were just taking too many comments from Facebook, and Facebook got mad. Facebook got mad at us. Zuckerberg got mad at us because we took too many. We took them from the comment section and plucked them into our system, and Facebook's very angry with us now.
Wow.
So, sorry. It's automated.
I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I'll tell you what. That is a side story that you should do on WFLA.com, because that is people love that tech stuff, and to try to explain and extrapolate what that means I find it fascinating.
So I was just noting, I said, wow, we haven't had any Facebook comments in a while in our system. And I was like, oh, it's because we got a notice from Facebook saying you're taking too many comments. Well, okay, so we have YouTube Live and we have www.heyjb.live. So, okay, we got to get back to some of the comments. I only have 10 minutes left with Walt Buteau, WFLA Senior Investigator. I'm JB Biunno. Welcome into the WFLA Now Stream Center. We really appreciate your time and joining us here today. Let's see, scrolling through, and just Jackie, #KJB. There's an absolutely incredible current court situation also in Florida, and it validates what you said, that courts cost a lot of money. This YouTuber is taking a stand and then puts the name there. Okay, very interesting. Might be worth a search. Tammy, if that convo happened between the FBI and Bertolino, why was she never arrested at all? Because Bertolino canceled the press conference.
But it's still a great question. The FBI was not going to arrest her.
You think it's a bluff?
Come on.
You're at the poker table. You're saying bluff.
I'm calling the bluff on the FBI, and because again, I go back to, you'd better not allow her to take questions from the media, or we're going to force her to take questions from the media. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, it doesn't. And I'm with you.
Now, maybe Bertolino has misspoken on what the FBI agent said, but and I also, it's a great part of the movie, because when this movie's out, that's going to be a great scene, right?
The FBI on the phone.
The FBI
saying, do not hold this press conference, or we're going to arrest Roberta.
We're going to walk her. We're going to perp walk. So. But that's a great point.
Last call for questions and comments. Again, the heyjb.live comments come in first, and then I get to it has to have, on YouTube, it has to have #heyjb, and then I can grab it. Basically is your version of saying, yeah, take my comment. Unless you're on Facebook, which they got mad.
You got to do a story on that, little sidebar. Come on.
Facebook is mad.
No, because it's a great way for you to promote your new toy. It's a great new thing. That's awesome.
Well, Facebook. I've known some people. Actually, I had a lot of friends that used to work at Facebook, but they've all been let go.
Wow.
Facebook has transformed over the last few years.
Yeah,
really has. DJ6, #KJB and Walt. You don't call your attorney when you find out your son's GF is gone pertaining to a breakup. Speaks volumes, right? So if your kid calls you and says, my girl's gone, and insinuates that it's because of a breakup, you're not calling up your attorney.
That's a really good point.
Is what they're saying.
So they at least you could go to what Max said and say, no, don't tell me. earmuffs, don't tell me because I don't want to be implicated. But she's gone might mean what the worst possible case. That's a really good point.
Can Roberta still be arrested, says Leslie. No. Yeah.
There's no, it's just not going to happen.
I mean, is it actually?
No, case is closed. Has the FBI officially said it's closed?
It would have to be such damning, incriminating evidence that hasn't been unearthed yet.
That in the movie version, she bursts out, I knew, and I wanted to keep it from the Petitos. And sure.
And even then, the defense would be...
It would have to be extremely incriminating. And what's in it for the government?
Smoking gun type stuff.
The government likes big headlines. Just don't let them fool you. They like big headlines just like we do. And they do not prosecute everything that is criminal. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And so are they going to get enough hay? Are they going to be able to make enough hay by arresting her? I don't think they would do that.
Stephanie, it needs to go to trial to make the Laundries uncomfortable and stop hiding behind their attorney.
But Stephanie, in the United States of America, we are allowed to hide behind our attorney.
It's your constitutional right.
But I get what. Yes, there's a lot of people who feel that way, and I get that they want the Laundries to be uncomfortable because of what their son did.
Cynthia says, hi, thanks for coming on. Your dedication and research is appreciated. Gabby deserves justice. Laundries know more than they're letting on.
That's
Queen Weeble, your friend,
Queen Weeble's
your bestie, Queen Weeble. Thank you both for your coverage and commentary on the Gabby story. Been following from the beginning of your lives, JB. Baby, congrats. So thank you and appreciate this new interactive format. Yeah, cool. we are going to take interactive journalism to a place it's never been before, and it starts today, and we're really excited about it.
You're like Steph Curry, because every three-pointer that he hits, three-pointer he hits is a new record.
I am so honored by that.
And the fact would be that everything you're saying we're gonna take it to a new level. You already have, so everything you do is a new level.
This is
Steph.
What people ask, why Walt? Oh, because this is why.
Are you a Yankee fan?
You're a straight up.
Are you
guy.
a Yankee fan?
Yeah, I'm gonna make some enemies by saying that.
You're also Babe Ruth then. You're Babe Ruth.
You're killing me. You can't.
Steph Curry is the Babe Ruth of the NBA. We can have a whole talk on that.
Well, I appreciate it. Look, interactive journalism is my passion. I believe that the voice of our audience, if it can be heard, it should be heard. And I believe that news coverage that is a one-way street is going the way of the dodo. And I really do believe that if we can run polls, spotlight comments,
it's
videos,
going the way of the hand check in the NBA.
The hand check. Look at you with all the sports references today. Actually, I think I was the one who made the first baseball reference, but we love it. Let's see here. Some last questions coming in. I have another 3 minutes. 3 minutes with Walt and myself. Let's see. Abigail says, couldn't Roberta be prosecuted for obstruction of justice? That would have to be a formal charge by a law enforcement agency that has opened this case again, and it would...
I think she's missing a have there. Couldn't have she been, right?
Oh.
Because at this... No, I'm not saying she... I would just say I think she could have been maybe. But again,
yeah, no,
we see these crimes, and every time I cover whatever the crime is, you have to look what the elements of that crime is to prove it. I mean, did she really obstruct justice? What we think of as obstructing justice might not actually be it, but could have she been? I think so.
Emily, not only are you not calling an attorney, you're not hiring a criminal attorney in the state where she went missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Emily knows that this is when you look at all the cards that Riley has to play in his deck. They at least go to trial. That is the card.
There could be at least, unless she's right about Bertolino having a chance with his argument for summary judgment. There's at least the opportunity now that we've looked at this deposition. I'm sure Riley's much smarter than us about this stuff. To at least the opportunity to say, exactly that. Why did you, if you didn't know exactly what she's gone meant, why did you need a criminal attorney? What could have been criminal that you needed an attorney? And again, I think criminal attorney is redundant in this case. Why did you need an attorney? if you didn't know what she's gone.
As Emily said on her live stream, it's not like you called the National Guard to help search for the girl. You called a criminal attorney.
That's
or
right.
as you're saying, you called an attorney.
That's right.
And that speaks volumes. It certainly does. And it's on the burden of the prosecution to prove their case.
Bertolino, by the way, again, and I don't know him. He is responding to texts here and there, but why did he say criminal attorney? Why not just because he opens this door? Like, he opens this door again for the people he's representing. Why didn't you just say attorney? Why did you say anything?
Look, we could do an entire live stream about some of the things that Bertolino said in his deposition that jump off the page.
Yeah.
Bertolino, I will tell you, as a reporter, this question hasn't been asked to me, but I'll answer it. I read all 5 depositions. Which one did I use the highlighter the most? I highlighted, here, document cam. Where's document cam?
Doc cam.
Doc cam, we're going to call it
Doc cam.
I highlighted a lot in these documents, right? I highlighted a lot.
But you ran out of ink.
I ran out of highlighter ink in the Bertolino depots. I mean,
does he watch the show?
He's texted me before and after a stream. Yeah.
He seems to enjoy himself in front of them. He seems to enjoy making comments. Just my opinion.
That's your opinion. I'll reserve comment in that regard. I know. And look, I've had a lot of conversations with Steve, and yeah, look, I don't want to put words in his mouth. He thinks, you know what? I'm just gonna, you know what? The Jiminy Cricket is telling me, I'm just gonna leave that one off the table.
I can read between the lines.
Yeah, I'll tell you off stream. But that's gonna do it for our live stream here, folks. I would stream longer and take more questions, but again, WFLA is owned by a parent company, and that parent company runs News Nation. So when News Nation, you've been on News Nation.
Yeah.
I've
been on
call,
Dan Abrams' show a few times. Yeah.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a great opportunity though, also to get out there and to get a story that you've worked on, to get that story out there. More eyeballs. Sure. Eyeballs are important.
Sure. Look, I'll talk about this case all day.
Yeah.
I've covered it enough.
I think we could.
Yeah,
I think the public could too.
Absolutely could.
Yeah.
But given that this is the end of the live stream, we want to let you know that you can go to WFLA.com to read more about Gabby's Gone and the other bombshell revelations that came through in the Gabby Petito depositions. Ooh, hold on a second. Hold on. Time out. What's this? I just want to make sure I have this clear because I just got a court filing notice from Sarasota County Circuit Court. And I want to bring this up and see what this is. Stand by. Could be nothing. Could be something. It's a notice of hearing. Special set. Here it is, and I'll... Notice of special set hearing. Please take notice that on Tuesday, March 26, 2024, 1:30 p.m., defendant Stephen Bertolino, through counsel, will call up for hearing before the Honorable Danielle Brewer in Courtroom D, South County Courthouse in Venice, Florida, for Stephen Bertolino's motion for summary judgment, Stephen Bertolino's motion to exclude testimony on the opinions of a Robert Gordon, Ph.D., filed on February 12th, 2024. So a special set hearing for Bertolino's motions are going to happen. Again, this is all, I've gotten email notifications from Sarasota County Circuit Court from the clerk really for almost every day for the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's because we are getting so close to trial, a lot of these notices, things are picking up steam. Walt.
Absolutely.
Any other final comments before we go?
No, great discussion as always. Fascinating case. I think it'll be fascinating for, decades to come. We still talk about cases from the 20s. We still talk about cases from the 30s. This case will be out there, and there may not be another one like it for a long time, just with the way that she put herself out there and the way that, because of her personality, I think, the fame that she sought, she got, but in the worst possible way. And it's a horrible American tragedy.
A lot more to come. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage our audience to follow me on social at WFLAJB, because there is the the possible scenario where there could be major breaking news over the next 24 hours if these two sides can reach a deal in mediation.
I'm going to just say it's just not going to happen.
The fact, look, it started 10. They're 4. I'm talking to some people. They're 4 hours into it now. So if you're having a conversation, Walt, for 4 hours, you're talking about a scenario where mediation could be possible. You're talking about what a deal could look like. You are sitting down in good faith. So if that actually does reach a conclusion today, I will tweet it out.
It's 2 o'clock. Is it 2 o'clock?
Right now?
Yeah.
2:09 p.m.
Okay, but it started at 10:09?
10 o'clock.
So, okay, so they haven't been in there they have not been in there 4 hours because they had lunch.
Oh, well, okay.
No, I'm just saying.
All right.
Okay, and it does not
With
work like a
4
TV show. It doesn't
with
work like
lunch.
a TV show. There's foundation, as you know. Those are, but yeah, is it possible? I don't think it's possible unless the Laundries release some statement where they knew this, and this. I just don't see this possible.
We'll see. Folks, pay attention to my socials because, look, I'll either put out there that, and I'm getting an alert here from somebody. Yeah, I have to go. News Nation's getting a hold of me. Got to run, folks. Pay attention to my socials because any breaking news that happens, I'll be posting out there. Thank you so much to Emily D. Baker. Thank you for all of you who participated interactively on HeyJB.live. We'll see you next time here from the Stream Center.